Hello, I'm Michelle Witt, Executive and Artistic Director of Meany Center for the Performing Arts. I am here with the legendary sarod master Amjad Ali Khan, classical guitarist Sharon Isbin, and virtuoso sarod player Amaan Bangash in a conversation around the project Strings for Peace. I have dark hair, light skin, I'm wearing red glasses, and a silver jacket and some crystals on my neck. I'm sitting in my home office in Seattle, and my pronouns are she, her. And I would love to welcome and introduce the legendary sarod master Amjad Ali Khan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Amjad Ali Khan, and my instrument is called sarod. Sarod is a Persian word which means music. And it has been in our family since many, many generations. And the place where I was born in central India, it's called Gwalior. And that house where I was born has been converted into a museum. It's called Sarod Ghar, the House of Sarod, Museum for Musical Heritage. In this conversation, I have my younger son with us, Ayaan. Amaan could not join, so I'm very happy to talk to all of you, and especially Sharon. Seeing her after such a long time, and I'm grateful to God that this virtual journey has started, and we are hoping for a live concerts as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I have beautiful memories of Seattle because once I was doing a residency in University of Washington, and I did a workshop in Microsoft building also, I remember.
Yes, we do a lot of work with Microsoft. Thank you. Sharon, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Sharon Isbin, and I am speaking to you from my living room in New York City, which overlooks the Hudson River, and in Manhattan. It's about 7 blocks from Juilliard, where I had the guitar department, which I created a number of years ago. And I have long brown hair, quite a lot of it. I'm wearing a blue sparkly top. And I just have to say that Amjad didn't describe himself, but both he and Ayaan are very handsome men. And I'll just fill in a little bit for what he didn't say about. He's very humble. So Amjad Ali Khan, of course, the legendary sarod player, he's wearing a very lovely Indian style top that is a
It's called
dark
kurta.
kurta.
It's called kurta.
Kolkuta. And it looks like it's hand embroidered in a kind of a mustard color. Is that true? Is it done
Yes,
by
yes.
hand with buttons down the center? And so I just wanted to say that because they're very modest. I'm she, her, and I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you, Sharon. And Ayaan, could you also describe yourself a little bit more?
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. And Sharon described two good-looking men, but I think there's just one. That's my father.
No, there are two very handsome men here.
So I'm wearing just very basic black kind of a shirt come kurta, and I haven't had a haircut in a while, so my hair's kind of grown, and I have some concert flyers. In the room where I'm speaking from. It's the space outside our music room. So the flyer, which I think is right behind me, is from 2005, a concert at Royal Festival Hall. And it's such a pleasure to be in the company of legends, two iconic instrumentalists of our times. And I just feel so fortunate to be a part of this project and a part of this concert today. And I speak on behalf of my brother as well.
Of course, this project, Strings for Peace, is based around an album that was just released in 2020 to great critical acclaim. It's based on 4 popular ragas, specifically written and arranged for Sharon. And it's also accompanied on the tabla by Amit Katkar, a giant of Indian drumming. So I'm really looking forward to speaking about this project today, and really looking forward to also having you in Seattle to perform it at some point in the future. So with my first question, the Times of India has stated that in this project, you've crossed the barriers of language, culture, uniting people through music and melody. And can you talk a little bit about how this project came into being and why it's important now? And I would just go ahead and answer that. Yeah.
You see, music is a precious gift of God, and music has connected all of us. I always admired the sound of guitar because sarod and guitar, they come from the same family. Technique is different, approach is different, system is different. Sharon is reading music, and I follow the oral tradition. But we have this mutual respect for our craft, our art, and mutual respect for each other. And it is our conversation through music, and how to write the music. While I was in the residency in Bloomington, so I met one young guitarist there, young person who knew the notation, Kyle, and he was very kind to write everything, whatever I was singing, whatever I was imagining. And Ayaan was also there. And that Kyle, I think Ayaan will be able to say more about that Kyle, that he wrote everything and he knew how to write for guitar. And then finally, we met Sharon and we did our rehearsal. And she is such a gracious, very kind human being, and very disciplined person and very hardworking. And she came to India, and we traveled also. We performed here, and it was very, very memorable, successful tour in several cities in India. And we had a very big plan, very big tour for all over America, all over USA. Then, unfortunately, this pandemic began. So we had to postpone it. It's postponed, and I think you are the first organization we are, you are presenting our music. I mean, though virtually. I hope people who love music, especially guitar and sarod, they'll enjoy it.
I think that the story is even more fascinating when you go back in time. It was about 12 years ago that I got an email from Maestro Khan, and he said that he would love to meet and to explore the idea of a collaboration between guitar and sarod with the two of us. So eventually we met. I got to hear him and his magnificently brilliant sons as well, Amaan and Ayaan, perform in New York City, and we became friends. And I met much of the family eventually, and every time they would come to New York, they would be in touch with me. I would hear their concerts, and we would get together and talk, and Amjad was very keen on creating a collaboration. But I knew that it would require somebody to help in the notation, as he mentioned, who had a knowledge of classical guitar, of North Indian classical music, of improvisation a la jazz, and who was a composer. So that's a pretty steep list of requirements. And every year he'd say, I'm working on it. And I eventually, honestly, I thought this was never going to happen. But I thought, it doesn't matter, because I've been introduced to their beautiful music, enriched by that, and love our friendship. Then suddenly one day, in November of 2018, I looked in my email, and in the inbox, it was filled with ragas. So I started to listen. And oh, they were just so beautiful and moving. These were composed by Amjad Ali Khan. And he had done a sample that Ayaan and Kyle did so I could hear what it would sound like. And I contacted them and I said, this is just gorgeous. And Ayaan said, well, good, because we've already booked a tour to do with you in less than 3 months in India. I said, wow, that's great, but couldn't we make it a little bit later? And Ayaan said, no, the halls were available, Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta. We just grabbed the dates, and I hope you can do it with us. So I cleared my plate. I had no time the next month in January because I was making another recording with string quartet, with the Pacifica String Quartet. They just won a Grammy, by the way, this year, another one. And
Congratulations.
not with me, that was with them.
Yes.
But anyway, we were making our recording, which came out in 2019, Souvenirs of Spain and Italy. So I didn't have time to really learn these ragas until 3 weeks before I was leaving for India. And I'd never played North Indian classical music before. I admired it and listened to it since college and loved it, but never dreamed that I would be a participant in the process. So I just zeroed in, I even had to cancel a concert to make this possible. And it was such a magnificent choice because this, I have to say, has been one of the most gratifying collaborations. I've had many, but this is particularly gratifying and insightful. And as we continue our discussion, you'll learn more about that.
Maestro Amjad Ali Khan, you represent the 6th and 7th generations of sarod players in your family, and your ancestors have developed and shaped the instrument over 200 years. You learned from your father and you've taught your 2 sons, and whoever truly is playing the sarod today learned directly or indirectly from your forefathers. How did your family come to be so essential in the lineage of the instrument?
You see, in our family, we follow this oral tradition. We don't write music, we don't read music. It's an oral tradition, and one has to memorize whatever my father, my guru, he used to sing, and I had to play on my sarod. I was the youngest child. I'm the youngest child of my father. And so this is the way in India, the teacher, the guru, they sing, and the disciple, they follow. I played on the sarod. And, you know, improvisation has been given a lot of importance in our music, Indian classical music. But improvisation is in jazz music also. But jazz music, they enjoy the freedom of using all the 12 notes as and when they require. But our improvisation is very, very much restricted and disciplined to the format of ascending and descending. Like how in ascending certain note and descending certain notes. But more than improvisation, because I feel it's nothing great, you know, improvisation. But in our music, which Sharon has experienced, we have beautiful expressions like slides and glides. So these slides and the glides, they are very, very graceful expressions, which are in our Western world, you don't see this aspect because this is very, very typical Indian classical music. And most of the singers, classical singers, you must have seen or heard, they have so many technical, gamak, tan, fast tan and all that. But what I admire the most, this graceful expressions. Da, excuse me. Da, da, da da na na ra na. So one of the item we played da da ra da ra da ra ra da 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 da. So one of the item we have played this piece in our album.
And you'll hear that the sarod is a very vocal-like instrument, obviously inspired by the voice. And those slides, they have no frets, and it's a metal fingerboard. We have frets on the guitar, so they are able to use, actually, it's your fingernail, right, that you're
Yes,
sliding
yes.
around with. We have to keep our fingernails very short on the left hand in order to be able to navigate the frets and the strings on our keyboard. So it's a different kind of technique, but when you put them together, of course, for me, the inspiration as a musician has always been the human voice as well. So I strive to get as lyrical a quality as possible. And we can do portamenti on the guitar, which slide between frets and make it sound like there's no fret at all. So they have the advantage of all kinds of in-between pitches because they're not bound by the lineage of a fret. So it's a fascinating combination of the two instruments together. And I use my fingernails on my right hand to play. They use their fingernails on the left hand to create the pitches. So it's really, and they use a pick, whereas my fingernails are the pick, and in combination with how much flesh and angle and position, that produces all the different varieties of colors.
We need to also file our nails in the course of the concert because of that. So it looks impolite, funny, but then we have to do it because it becomes a requirement. So our life is incomplete without Revlon.
I love that. So I wonder if we can talk just a bit more about the musical structures, the differences in the musical structures of potentially of South Indian music and Western classical music. Of course, these ragas have a very specific musical structure, and I'm wondering if you could share something about that.
Ayaan, would you like to join and answer this question?
I mean, I'll say a few things, and I mean, I feel my father should do more of the talking, but I think India is the only country where we have two systems of classical music, which is from the north and south. So I think it's basically, you know, the ragas are the set notes of ascending and descending set of notes in any scale. But then, you know, the characterization of these ragas, it becomes a little larger than life. We literally treat them like entities. So even the ragas selected in this album, though we have we have names for all the ragas, subtitles for each and every raga. But these are very oceanic scales that we have played, you know, like Yaman, or there's Pilu, there's also something called Mishra Bhairavi. So all these are like oceanic ragas, and you know, sky's the limit to, I think, kind of create and decorate. And the way, you know, Sharon has kind of added embellishments further to what was written, you know, has you know, made it sound even more gorgeous, even more beautiful. And that's, I think that's what it is. I mean, the organic structure that any project takes. And little did we know that it's going to come out at a time when, you know, I think as human beings, we all need to look within so much more than we did ever. So I think everything just kind of fell in place. And it's just a project very close to me. I think maybe my father could explain a little more about raga and about you know, the characterization of each and every scale, perhaps.
You see, raga is like a melody, a beautiful melody, appealing melody. You know, any music of any system or any culture, it has to be appealing. I admired the symphony orchestras of Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, any appealing music, even folk music, I enjoy listening to. India is very rich. Every state of our country has a very rich folk tradition, music and dance and everything. So, I mean, some people, Western world, they feel raga means a long improvisation and long piece of music. It's not true. A 5-minute piece, composition of a raga is a complete raga. We don't need to unfold the raga for 1 hour, for 2 hours, because I remember there was a time when people could record only for 3 minutes, 78 RPM. So within 3 minutes, the great masters were introduced. So music is the name of quality, not quantity.
Mm-hmm. And what strikes me when listening to these is not only the cyclical quality as well, the organic cyclical quality, but also the ecstatic qualities in the music at points. And it does seem like it could go on. It could be 3 minutes, it could be 3 hours,
Yes.
and still plumb those structures. And I think that one of the questions that I'd love to shift to right now is you talk about achieving this cross fertilization at both the cellular, potentially that 3-minute level, and the cosmic, the 3-hour or infinite level of two classical music traditions, which are often held to be radically different. And I think of Western music as being much more directional and moving toward, even just simply you have the tonic and the dominant and moving toward the tonic closure. What are the greatest areas of commonality that you find together musically? And then I'd love to talk about potentially the aesthetic and spiritual commonalities as well.
You see, every system of music, I feel there is a spirituality. Because India and Indian musicians, I think we talk a lot about our devotional music. In the South India, their music is very devotional because they play the songs, devotional songs, in praise of goddess, in praise of God. And every human being, no matter what religion he belongs to, because music doesn't belong to any religion. Like flowers, air, water, fire, fragrance, they don't belong to any religion. But there is an element of spirituality in every system of music. I'm only worried that improvisation sometimes becomes repetitive. Improvisation can become sometimes very boring also. So the sense of proportion is most important. Where to end? I have seen very, very long symphony orchestras also, never ending. It happens, I mean, sometimes we lose track of time. I mean, I have also played in my life from 9 p.m. to 7 in the morning in Kolkata, Bengal. And with 3 pieces, whole night I played. But gradually, with my age, with my experience, I feel one has to be precise. One has to be very, very precise. We still talk about man of few words. So few words are so important that we don't need so much time. Within whatever time is given, when we perform for Nobel Peace Prize, their request was to perform only for 5 minutes. So, I was not very happy with their request. I said, what can I play in 5 minutes? Go all the way to Norway and, be part of that Nobel Peace Prize. Then, I realized, and Ayaan, Amaan, my family, made me realize the importance of Nobel Peace Prize presentation and function. So all the way we went to Norway and we played that 5-minute piece. Queen Latifah was the master of ceremony, MC, and that 5 minutes, maybe thousands of people, crores of people, millions of people could see our concert. So appealing music is most important.
Thank you. Sharon, could you speak to that question? I'd also love to hear from you, Ayaan, as well. What for you, what areas of greatest commonality exist between this music, again, musically, aesthetically, culturally, spiritually?
I had a very powerful experience that I did not expect to have happen, and it took place, it started to happen as we were rehearsing in India, and I was working closely with Ayaan in particular to get his guidance as to how to embellish some of the slower parts. You'll notice in 3 of the 4 ragas, this is our album, by the way.
Wonderful, thank you.
Bring it up close. Strings for Peace. All you can see is my ring light. Okay, lovely.
We all have them.
Yes. And so as we were preparing this, you'll notice that 3 of the 4 ragas begin with a slow introductory part where each of the players has a chance to kind of contribute their own version and their own take that is an expression of something very much within that is creating, I would say, the anticipation for the composition that follows, the composition being the fast part with the rhythm where Amit joins in on tabla. So you have the slow and the fast, with the exception of one of the songs, Love Avalanche. How can you resist a title like that? I loved it before I even heard the piece, but then when I heard it, I realized how special it was. That is a song that doesn't have those 2 divisions, and it is a shorter piece, but so unusual and special harmonically. So as I was working in India to prepare for the concerts, and Ayaan was guiding me, I'd said, well, what do you think of this idea or this idea? Yes, that works. Or try this. I realized suddenly that all of the years that I had spent playing with a Brazilian percussionist, almost 20 years performing with him, Tiago de Mello, made me very comfortable playing with percussion, in this case tabla. I realized that the 10 years that I studied with likely the greatest Bach keyboard artist and scholar, Rosalind Turek, of all the Bach lute suites in Baroque music that I worked on with her, studying embellishment, all of that suddenly seemed to play a role in this. The years that I'd spent and experiences that I'd have playing with rock musicians like Steve Vai, or with Brazilian musicians who improvised, like Romero Lubambo, and others, that made me comfortable with working with artists who are improvising. So all of this started to come together and inform the way that I would approach embellishment, drawing on these different disparate paths and parts of Western music of different genres. But then the real surprise happened. The first night, I opened the concert with a Spanish work that I've played hundreds and hundreds of times, Asturias by Izaka Albinis.
I love your recordings of that.
Thank you so much. And in that, it is inspired by the Spanish gypsies of Andalusia in Spain and of flamenco, which originated several hundred years ago. And so it begins with the fast part, but when you get to the slow part, it is evocative of the cante hondo, or the deep song of a flamenco singer, but the guitar is playing that part. So the guitar is actually all of these components in one in this piece, because so many Spanish composers that we're familiar with, from Albinis to Granados to Turina to Toroba and more, de Falla, were inspired by the flamenco folk tradition. Folk tradition inspires, of course, so much of the North Indian classical music. So suddenly I'm sitting on stage playing, and I have this incredible sensation, a very visceral sensation of the unity of North Indian classical music and flamenco music and Spanish music and all of this, I'm hearing it in a way I've never heard it before, even though it's a piece I've played many times. And I could feel that suddenly, I could feel the migration of the gypsies hundreds of years ago from India who crossed over into many different lands, landed in different parts of Europe, and some of them settled in Spain and became part of what emerged as a flamenco tradition with the people who were already in Spain. So all of this kind of sense of oneness and unity had a very powerful effect on me and opened my ears and my mind and my vision and my imagination. And I played differently. So it is something that will always stay with me. I'll never forget that experience. And it is just part of the growth, the natural growth of a musician. If you're open to new ideas and new experiences, then you continue to be part of that whole trajectory. So thank you, Amjad, and thank you, Ayaan, for bringing me into your world in a way that I could participate, because I never expected to have that privilege, and it is indeed a privilege, especially with such great artists as you.
No, thank you so much. You are being very kind, very gracious, and your music is so appealing. Your tonal quality of your guitar is so moving, so touching.
Thank you.
We need to thank the universe. I think it was just a universal interference that this project had to happen. Like Sharon said, the intention was there to move it forward, but I think the timing was something we didn't know, and it just happened. It all just happened. And what Sharon was saying about, the experience she had on stage, I think what really, because like my father mentioned, that what we do is more about, is an oral tradition, and it's all, nothing is written. So that's why I was always intrigued to see how, one is able to execute a written score and play it with a different, and emote it, every time with a very different ethos, and which is something amazing even for this project. I mean, though this...
Oops, it looks like we lost you, Ayaan.
We got him back, except you're muted.
Ayaan?
Yes.
Oh, now we hear you.
Which university we met Kyle?
It was at Indiana University.
Indiana University. So he was...
School of Music, yes.
Jacob School of Music.
So what always intrigued me was, how, the Western classical world is able to execute pieces which is written by a different human being, which I think is something so fascinating, and to kind of execute it with a certain ethos that it was written. So similarly, even when we are touring or performing with Strings for Peace, though it's all written down, but every concert has a different vibration. It has a different, it has a different energy. And I think so many things contribute to that. I mean, you could call it energy, spirituality, so many things. And end of the day, I think we all our natures kind of reflect onto our music. And, it's so important to just be in sync when you're on stage, because the idea is to perhaps decorate a beautiful bouquet of flowers together. And I think that's always what the intention is when you're with so many artists on stage.
Thank you. And I just wanted to share, I'm so struck. I am a violinist, and I actually wrote my master's thesis on cantejondo and flamenco. And
Wow.
I'm still piecing together how those come together in my own mind. But I was so struck by the power of that and its connection to music, more universally. And I just wanted to share that, because I love that music, and I do feel the power of it in this work that you're sharing as well.
Well, it's fascinating that you should say that, because I too have loved Spanish music all my life, and I actually got to study with Andrés Segovia, the great Spanish guitarist. And I started the guitar in Italy when I was 9 years old. Our family was living there for 1 year. And Spanish music has just always been a part of me. Oddly enough, even though I grew up in Minneapolis, there was a flamenco dance company there. And so my parents would take me to hear flamenco all the time. So it was natural that I would gravitate in this direction. But I've also loved performing with Spanish singers. An album I did called Alma Española that just came out 3 years ago with the great Isabel Leonard, all in Spanish, and music of Garcia Lorca, who was so much a figure of the flamenco movement in Spain. He created a whole festival and worked closely with Manuel de Falla and others. So, and having been to Spain and seen all of that, it just becomes a part of the experience and the expression. But then to combine this with this whole new dimension of North Indian classical music and how that played into the role, you can watch a movie called Lach Kodram, and
right, yeah, it's a wonderful movie.
There's almost no dialogue in the movie, but it takes you through different countries and their music and their people, and you begin to just feel this sense of oneness. And it's important for this time because there's so many divisions in the world, but really, as we all say, there's only one race, the human race, and there are so many things that we can all do together if we can only appreciate one another.
So true.
That reminds me, my guru, my father, in the very beginning of my life, he tried to convey that all of us have a common God and we are the common race. And music has connected us all.
Very true.
Music does not belong to any religion, but every religion needs music and flowers.
Music
That's
and flowers. I would love to just ask if there's anything you'd like to say before we close the conversation. You've said so much, so it's certainly not necessary. I think you've answered my questions before I've even asked them in many cases.
We want to say that we're coming back to Seattle in the following season.
Yes, indeed, indeed, absolutely. And
we look
I was
forward
just
to being
thinking,
there.
we have often brought audiences.
My father
to
was
Spain.
from Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Really? Oh,
Yes, my father was born in Seattle, and his parents emigrated there from Poland and Russia to escape the pogroms. And I visited as a very small child, so I have memories that go back from the age of 5 or 6, then through adulthood performing there. I played there with Laurindo Almeida and Larry Coryell at Meany Hall.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yes. So it's a place that has a very special resonance for me. So I can't wait to return.
Wonderful. We can't wait to have you all come to Seattle or return to Seattle. Yes, Ayaan. I was also just going to say that we have brought groups of our audiences to Spain to listen to and explore Spanish culture. My hope is that we can one day also bring them to India, because I think that I just hope we can do that in the near future. Yeah. I'd like to thank you all again for joining us in this virtual setting and for this extraordinary music that we can all enjoy on the future performance that we're able to share with all of our audiences.
Thank you so much.
Until we see you in Seattle.
Visit again Seattle. I love Seattle. It's beautiful weather and very nice city.
Yes. We love the rain, particularly now.
Yes.
All right. Well, take care, all of you, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And everybody be well and continue to wear masks. Get your vaccinations as soon as you can.
Yes.
I've survived mine. I'm okay. See,
Good.
I'm alive.
And I got he got the first jab.
Did you both get it?
Well, my parents got it. I hope to get it in April. They're going to open it up in phases. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
So in India, we say namaskar with folded hand.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.